Hi, I was named Peter Minnerly Shumway when I was born in Payson in 1853, to Charles Shumway and Louisa Minnerly. They had moved from the Manti area and built the first cabin. Father built it using adobes. Father built a sawmill and grist mill in Payson, but in 1854 moved to South Cottonwood where he bought a farm and a threshing machine. In 1859 President Young asked Father to help settle Cache Valley. Father then took us with wagons and cattle to help settle Mendon. President Young ordained my older brother, Andrew, the first bishop. Father helped Andrew and members in Mendon build a rock church. This plaque commemorates the early pioneers of Mendon. Father also built this rock home for us. From 1862 until 1875 Father operated sawmills co-owned with President Young. My life changed considerable when I moved with Father to southern Utah. He bought property in both Kanab and Johnson, and in Johnson I met Mary Elizabeth Johnson. Mary was born in 1865 to Sixtus Ellis Johnson and Editha Melissa Merrill in Virgin. Her mother died when she was 10 years old and she helped take care of 3 younger siblings. One day after Mary turned age 14 she received her endowments in the St. George Temple. We were married there 9 months later. After our marriage we prepared for a move to Apache County, Arizona where both our Johnson and Shumway fathers and many of their polygamous family members. In January we took our ox wagons and several hundred head of livestock to Lee's Ferry to cross the Colorado River. Unlike conditions shown in this photo, the river was covered with ice. A few dozen animals broke through the ice and drowned. We were able to barge the others across the river. We followed the Little Colorado River into the mountains of eastern Arizona. When we got to St. John's we stopped and lived in our wagon for several months. Flour was scarce and expensive. It had to be shipped in from Albuquerque, and because the Indians were hostile it was hard to get supplies through. Mary's father, Sixtus Johnson, was a bishop in Erastus, later called Snowflake, and we moved there, built a one-room rock house and planted a garden. My father had built a grist mill on Silver Creek south of Snowflake and we lived there for a few years. The area became known as Shumway. Our first 3 children, Sixtus, Editha and Eunice, were born there. We then moved to Pinedale in 1886 and I was called on a Southern States mission. I sold some livestock to fund my mission. I was able to leave Mary with a year's supply of flour and a few cows. I served in North Carolina and Tennessee for 2 years. When I got home I took a job running the Apache Junction mail station midway between Holbrook and St. John's. Our next child Peter was born here. After about a year we decided to move back to Pinedale where we felt more safe and secure. Our next 2 children, Ara and Seth, were born there. In 1894 we moved to Fruitland, New Mexico. Here I served in the bishopric with Bishop Burnham. Our next 4 children, Annie, Harris, Ruth and Bessie, were born here. This photo was taken before our 10th child, Bessie, was born. We next moved up the San Juan River to a small place named Jewett, now called Waterflow. Here our last 2 children, Lee and Glenn, were born. This photo of Lee, Mary, and Ruth was taken in about 1908. We heard about a new larger town named Grayson being developed down the river in San Juan County, Utah, and in 1910 sold our Jewett property, bought more cows, and moved to Grayson. Our oldest 3 had married and stayed behind for a while. This 1910 census of Grayson lists Mary and me with our last 9 children. It says I am a farmer but cows were my main business. Recapture Canyon runs from the Blue Mountain past the east side of Grayson to the San Juan River. I kept my livestock in an area of Recapture Canyon we called Fiddler Green about 12 miles south of town. I built this stone building there where we grazed and milked our cows. Here Mary made cheese for sale. We also had a garden and orchard. This photo, taken by my grandson, Kay, with Dwayne and Rex standing in the doorway, was taken in about 1952. In 1912 I helped build this new school building. I also helped, financially and with labor, other projects such as canals and the seminary building. I helped two of my sons, Era and Glenn, go on missions. Era went to my mission field and Glenn went to Australia. Members of our church finished this wonderful San Juan stake tabernacle in 1915. When World War I started, 3 of my sons were drafted. Seth was sent to Europe. Harris and Era served in the USA. Here I am with my son Glenn kibitzing with Walter C. Lyman and William J. Nix. In 1918 I bought one of the first cars in town. It was a Buick similar to the one shown here. We were able to drive to both Cache Valley and Arizona to visit relatives. Later in life I raised foxes for their fur. In 1930 we held a reunion and all 12 children attended. We have 51 grandchildren. This painting B.D. Kelly Pugh shows Mary and I sitting down for a meal. In 1935 I went to the Moab Hospital for a prostate operation. I got pneumonia and died. Mary comfortably lived another 9 years in our home until she joined me. Our expected eternal reunion was realized.